So this should be a fairly quick video about conditional formatting. And what we're going to attempt to do is to highlight an entire row using conditional formatting. So when something occurs, we want the entire row to be highlighted with a color, not just one cell. So let's try this. And we're going to give a couple of examples. So the first one, I'm going to move to this products table. So now what we're going to do if our cost is above $100, we would like this entire row to be highlighted in a certain color. So the first thing we're going to do is use a formula to create a logical test. So I'm going to start with an equal sign. And I'm going to ask if this, which is the to cell, is greater than 100. It says true. And I'm going to copy this down, and everything that's greater than 100 gets then, everything else gets false. Now this will work for a single row and highlighting a single row. I'm sorry, it's a single column. But that's not going to work if we try to use this for the entire table. So to show you what I mean, if I take this formula, escape, and then highlight the entire table, and then go under Format, Conditional Formatting, and then choose under Options to use a custom formula. And paste my formula. You'll see that it's not really doing what we're trying to do. It's just this weird thing is happening when these products are highlighted, accurate, the first column, and the second column, they are all formatted for whatever reason. So that doesn't make any sense. That's not working the way it should work. So I'm going to cancel, and we're going to find out how we can actually accomplish this. So the way we want to think about it, is that you kind of have a grid on the right side here that needs to look like choose and falses grid similar to this table. So we have a table here with 4 columns and this menu grows. So I'm going to kind of highlight this area. And just to make this easier to understand, I'm going to give some borders here. So that's a similar table on the right with 4 columns. So what we need to do in addition to just being able to drag this down, we should be able to drag this to the right, and I went too far there we are, and get a table of trues or falsies. But the way it should work is when this is true, the entire row needs to be true. But at the same time, when it's false, the entire row needs to be false. Right now you can see that that's not where we're getting. So therefore, it doesn't work. So the way you fix that is by simply locking the column. So in this case, the column is the D column for this value. So I'm going to add a $sign for the D column that's going to lock the column. So as we're copying the formula to right, this cell is not going to start moving to the right. So that will fix our problems. So right now if I copy this down, copy this to the right, what do I get? Truses, falses, 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 truses, and falses. So once you're able to get to this point where your formula works in both directions, then you'll be able to use this formula to conditionally format the entire row. So I'm going to go inside of this first one, copy this first formula, hit escape, then go and starting from the left because that's the formula where I'm copying. See, here on top. So I'm starting right here in this A2 cell and highlight my entire area. Go on their Format, Conditionally Formatting, and Format Cells if. I'm going to switch this to the last option, Custom Formula is. And paste my formula, you can already see that it works in the background. So we'll go ahead and give this some color, done. And I'm going to close this out. Now this, we don't need. We're just doing this to help us understand if this is going to work or not. Now once we figure that out, we can just remove all of that. So I'm going to delete those to get that out of the way. So there we are. So now we're highlighting the whole row based on our condition. So if this is less, 90, it's not highlighted. If this is above 100, so I'm going to type 101. For example, the entire row is highlighted. That's how I can highlight the entire row. Let's do another quick example of this on this one. So what we have here is projected in actual amounts. We would like to highlight the entire row if our actual amount is above our projected amount. So to do that, I'm going to again create a formula equal sign. So I want to check if our actual is greater than projected. There we are. So I'm going to hit enter. And I want to drag it down. Now I have to be able to copy this to the right and get the same thing false, 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 false. But I'm not getting it again for the same reason because if I check what happened here, see the formulas moved to the right. And what used to be checking if the actual amount is greater than projected. Now we're getting because we're checking if the false is greater than actual. Because we moved to the right. So references are moving to the right. So I'm going to hit escape, go back here. So in order to not move to the right, we need to lock the column B and the column C. Because that's where our values are. So the C is the first one. So I'm going to add a $sign in front of the C, B is the second one. So a $sign in front of that B. So that's going to lock those. So it doesn't move to the right. So we're going to lock the 2's because we want to be able to still move from red to utilities and then to insurance. Otherwise it's going to just lock to rent all the time. So we'll hit enter. Now I'm going to copy this down this way and then copy this to the right. Now you'll see we get C false as all trues in this row's false and true. Great. Now that we got that going, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. First formal. Hit escape. And then, and by the way, we're going to do this for this entire area. But this is still going to work. So if I drag this 3 to the right and down, you'll see that I'm still getting the same thing. So false the whole world falls in reality. If you can get it to work for 2 rows that it's going to have 2 columns, then it's going to work no matter how many columns you have. So you don't really need exactly the same size table. So in this case, I'm going to go grab the first one again, copy, hit escape. And I'm on the top left. So I want to start from here because I want to highlight the whole thing including the label on the left. So I'll highlight this entire area. Go under Format, Conditional Formatting. And on Other Formats cells if. I'm going to switch this to the last option, Cost and Formula. And paste our formula as the value. Now we can see it's working already. But let's go ahead and switch this to a different type of formatting. Again, you can do your custom something. But this is fine for me. It's another design class. So go ahead and hit done. I don't need these. Right now we can see how entire row is highlighted based on our condition, which is if actual spend is more than projected, we're highlighting the entire row.